Hi, my name is Daphne, and today we are outside in the late September garden, the late September garden, and it is messy. We still have produce. We still have squash, which is incredible. I actually don't recall ever having squash this late in the season. We still do have some tomatoes that are ripening. We have collards, and we have some cabbage, first year for cabbage, which need a few months, but they're coming along. But for the most part, 90% of the garden probably could be ripped out. We do have some beautiful marigolds, which I'm actually contemplating digging them up and literally putting them in the front because they are beautiful. But it's a mess. It is a mess. We had about a month with no rain at all, so a lot of things are halfway dead. A lot of things have been overgrown, so that I haven't been out here in a while. But then we had a downpour of rain, and so now we have squash that need to be harvested, and I do need to spray the cabbage down and the collards down with some BT and go over with some diatomaceous earth, all of which will actually be completely useless because we have a full week's worth of rain, but I have to kind of do some type of prep on them, or the cabbage worms and everything are going to get them. So yeah, come with me and I'll show you around the late September garden. Look at these seeds. Aren't they gorgeous? I'll show you around the late September garden and all of its beauty. So let's go. Look at this beautiful garden here. We do have the first of our collard, well, the first of our cabbage actually starting to head up, small little head. But we do have some damage here. I do see some bites. So I definitely do need to spray this down with some BT. I'm probably going to do the diatomaceous earth just because we do have more rain on the forecast. And then I'll just come out and dust it every day, and hopefully that does take care of some of it. But you do want to use diatomaceous earth in the morning before the bees wake up. I'm not trying to completely take out my bee population. Look at that. We also have a few more cabbages that actually were planted a little later. I kept them in the containers far too long, so the heads are a little smaller. But hopefully I'll dust those down as well. And then in this wild jungle, I did harvest a bunch of collards and mustards and turnips earlier in the season, about 2 months ago. We do still have some beautiful greens that are desperately needing to come out now. And so I will probably dust these also down with some diatomaceous earth. It looks like everything else, look at this, completely eaten. But some of these look to be pretty decent. So I can probably save a few of these just with some dust. So I'll definitely get started on that. But we do look like we do have at least one more harvest. I'll try to get to that after the rain. Also, look at our leeks. Now these definitely won't be ready this year, and I definitely do need to separate them out, but they're actually starting to thicken up a little bit. We also have a dying squash over here, but the squash is actually still producing patty pan, so I'll definitely take this one today. And then this plant has to be ripped out, but it did have a fairly good life. These flowers still producing. It's beautiful. Now some of these have completely been decapitated. I mean, once they get to like this state, there isn't a seed in it. And so with your zinnias, you do not want to let them get fully developed because you'll start attracting a lot of the birds to your garden space, which isn't a bad thing. But if you're trying to save the seeds, look, that's a seed there, and I'm surprised it still has one because that's what the finches eat. But you'll see a lot of these have been decapitated. And then you'll see like beautiful petals spread all throughout your garden space. And this is our beautiful butternut squash, which the voles and something else is pecking at, so that one's no longer edible. And then we do have a smaller one here that was pecked at earlier, but it does look like it's healed up. So that one might be viable in about a couple of weeks. But look at this. It's a mess. It is thoroughly time for it to be cleaned out. Although, surprisingly, we do still have a few tomatoes that can be harvested, so this one definitely needs to come in the house today. Look at this one. She is huge. No bird bites. That's important, especially because we just got out of a drought, so the fact that she is perfectly intact probably also means that she just ripened, but like, she is beautiful. Last big tomato of the season, unless some of these decide to mature. But definitely gonna take her. And then back here we do still have a few patty pan squash that can come in, but the plant is sickly. But we do have some patty pan squash. We do actually have a butternut squash back there. These marigolds, I mean, these are just still in the show. They're gorgeous. We do still have a few clusters of tomatoes. Some of them do need to be staked up. I do see some Amish paste that will be ready soon. They're not as big as the initial ones in the season, but like I said, we were in a drought for quite a while. These tomatoes can kind of be trimmed and probably cut down. Look at this, beautiful. Patty pan squash, will always grow them. Then we do have some peppers that are still holding strong. Although I do believe that next year I will only be growing peppers in the garden space in the front of the house in the buckets. It's not like they don't grow really well out here. I mean, look at this. These are huge. But there was more productivity in the front of the house, and I actually feel like I can actually maintain them better just with them being on the porch. So this bed I might actually use for the bigger peppers, like bell peppers. But yeah, I probably won't grow any smaller peppers here anymore. And then we do have a very small cabbage here that could be watered, and also maybe put some BT over it. I've actually just been keeping what is this? Like a sheet. Oh, actually this is like a curtain, like a window curtain over it, just to keep the bugs out. And then this bed was the Cherokee purple tomatoes, but I think they've all petered out for the most part. We do still have some smaller ones that are trying to come in, but the bigger ones have all been taken. And then this bed here, oh, this was the baby butternut. Look at this. Completely nibbled away at that. But we do have some almost finished butternut, a smaller one here, or honey nut. And then we also do have almost finished honey nut here as well. And the stem is actually slowly starting to dry up on this one. So that's not bad. It looks like this one's dying, but I actually still trying to put on more flowers. That's impressive. And then the star of the show, outside of these beautiful orange zinnias, which I definitely need to, this will be a good candidate for putting the bag around, like a brown paper bag around, just to maintain the seeds. Because the zinnias are going to get, the birds are going to get that one. Outside of these beautiful flowers, look at that. Are these 7-foot okra. Oh my God. I guess this one is now going to have to go to seed. Yeah. I mean, they're huge. That is crazy. I need a step stool to get them now. Oh, look, there's another one coming in right here. Just gorgeous. Got that ladybugs up here too. Check out some shears. Messed it up. Look at that one. That one's huge. This okra. Look at this one. Star of David okra. Then we also finally do have some cherry tomatoes that are coming in. This one is actually a little sickly on this side, but on this side, let's see. Yeah, we do have some cherry tomatoes. which are gorgeous. They're red. And we have some orange ones as well. Look at this one. Me and my son just come out here and pick them often, and we'll just have a little container of them in the house, and he just like eats them like chips. So cute. A ton of them. And while we do have a ton of cherry tomatoes, we also equally have a ton of aphids. I mean, the dust is everywhere, which isn't necessarily a problem because we also have attracted a ton of ladybugs. So there's ladybug larvae everywhere, and nymphs and fully grown ladybugs, all within the same area. Look at this. So we have full-grown ladybugs, we have ladybug larvae. It's absolutely beautiful. And I just kind of sit around some water and they're good to go. And they'll basically clean this plant in a couple of weeks. And I didn't have to purchase them, they came on their own. Also have our strawberries still growing strong, which is impressive. We do have a healthy assortment of weeds here too though. But we do still have some strawberries. I mean, they're not as sweet as they were earlier in the season, that's for sure, but look at that. We still have some that the slugs haven't gotten to, or the pill bugs. Look at these. Isn't that crazy? And these don't actually have any signs of like fungal infections like the first ones did. But I had recently just planted these strawberries, and so they were huge, but they had blights, and that one's been eaten up. These don't have so many blights. They just, you know, have a ton of slug damage. Got to come out here early in the morning and get them. You have pole bean heaven here. Now these are all too edible, they're way gone, so they're not going to be edible at this point, but I don't know. Maybe I'll leave some of them for seed. And I don't know, you can eat the peas as well, but I mostly grow them for like fresh eating and for freezers, so some of these might be good to still collect. I don't see like some of the smaller ones maybe. So I'll take like the really smaller ones, like this size, and then I'm actually going to cut the base and just let the whole plant dry out, and then I'll start slowly trying to pull this down. But look at that. Look at this. I actually cut a lot of these herbs. It was time, but the peppermint is growing back incredible. This chocolate mint, which I will have for sale on the website, is actually heavenly. The scent, I mean, it's everywhere now in the garden space, but this is like the best peppermint tea I've ever tasted. So definitely will have that to offer. Look at that butternut squash there. And then the lemon balm is actually growing back slowly. It loves this rain though. But we did get at least 2 cuttings from the lemon balm. And then this white sage I actually did cut because I saw that the frost temperatures were actually starting to affect it, but it is actually growing back. I might actually get a second cutting from this, and that would be thoroughly impressive if that happens. There's the lavender, which I'm using for smudges. And then we do have our lemon balm going back. We actually do have some more sage growing in as well, which I actually use for Thanksgiving cooking. And this is a surprise. I actually thought this was red bee balm, and some of these are, like this plant, but these is catmint. Well, this isn't catmint. This is a very healthy weed, but this here is catmint. I forgot that I actually grew it in this container, and I thought I had dug everything out, but apparently there was still some roots there. So when it started flowering, it looked like the catmint in the other container. But catmint and bee balm and a weed all growing in the same space. Actually, this I think is red bee balm. It looks like this one. So these are bee balms here, and then this is all catmint. So I'm gonna have to dump the bucket sometime in early spring and try to separate the roots. And then this one I actually did cut down. It's St. John's wort, and it grew in with a vengeance. So I guess it likes the space. And I can probably get a second cutting from this as well. Look how healthy it is. And this plant is really good like lemon balm. It's good for cold sores, any type of really skin infections you would have. Yeah, and it's good for colds and flus as well. But I'm actually mixing the hyssop with the lemon balm as a sleep tonic, but also as a treatment for fever blisters. And it works really, really well. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that your gardens are, I don't know what to say about your gardens at this point. They probably look exactly like mine do, and you probably are itching to rip them out and see them bare again, like I will be doing once the rain stops. But in any case, I hope that you actually are still in the gardening mood. I hope that everything has been beautiful. I hope that you had a ton of produce and that you guys have figured out a way and scheduled some time to process everything that you've harvested from your garden, because that is a whole other process. My kitchen has been, the dehydrator has been going for weeks now, and I've been blanching and freezing. There is no more room for anything. And I hope you guys have had the bounty and the blessings from your garden space as well, whether it be herbs or whether it be fruit or whether it be flowers, whatever it is you grow in your garden space. I hope it has been bountiful and beautiful. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and you have a beautiful day.